In the spirit of Halloween, paranormal or not, what is the scariest, creepiest or most unsettling experience of your life? I was with two of my friends driving down the Cankamorgus highway in the White Mountains of NH. Ahead of us we could see a figure quickly running down the hillside ahead of us. It was taller than I would have expected. Maybe 7 feet tall, wearing a black robe with an oversized hood. Picture a standard Grim Reaper costume but tattered and torn. By the time we caught up with it, it had crossed the highway and was moving towards the opposite side of traffic. It was gone and out of sight within seconds, covering a pretty large area of space very quickly. Now, this was all strange enough, but the strangest part is that its knees bent backwards. Like goat legs. Maybe not the creepiest moment of my life, but a more recent one I can remember was hiking in New Zealand. We were pretty far out, but there's a lot of hikers, so it's not uncommon to see people. Most of our encounters were just, "Hey, how's it going? Any good spots to see nearby?" We ran into these two guys at one point, kind of a weird spot off the main trail, who were really interested in asking us personal things. We were 3 early 20s guys. They were two creepy looking, probably 40 to 50-year-old guys. Kept wanting to know about where we're from, what we're doing in NZ, did we have girlfriends? Whatever, socially awkward old dudes. Life goes on. The creepy part was when we camped the next day, they were waiting for us at the place we were going to, even though they had been hiking the opposite direction as us and told us they were heading back home. And the questions continued. We had planned to get drunk at the campsite but decided not to because of these guys and were debating if we should sleep in shifts. Nothing happened, they were gone before us in the morning, but running into strangers who are extremely interested in your personal life far away from where anyone would hear you scream definitely freaked us out. Hope I'm not too late for this. I'm an only child, and when my best friend, who was also an only child, and I were younger, we loved to play pretend. One of the things that we would pretend would be that we each had twin sisters. Thank you Mary Kate and Ashley, era of the 90s. However, these twin sisters of ours were ghosts because they had died a long time ago. Super creepy game for kids to play, but we kept it up for years. I still remember that my twin's name was Amanda. I would always tell my friend that she was following me around and playing with me, but nobody else could see her because she was dead. In hindsight I realize how fucked up this game was, and I'm really thankful I didn't tell any adults about Amanda. Anyways, fast forward a few months, I'm about 8 or 9 and I had a very realistic dream that I woke up in the middle of the room, and Amanda was standing right by my bed. This was the first time I had seen how she looked, because of course ghosts are invisible, so all the other times I just knew she was there, and she looked just like I did, but she looked very disturbed. I asked what she was doing and she told me that she didn't want to be dead anymore. I still remember in the dream she said, "I finally found you, and now I'm going to kill you." Although she didn't explicitly say this, I knew she wanted to take my body so Amanda would be the live twin and I would have to take over her place and be dead. Sufficient to say that I stopped playing with Amanda after that. This is fairly mundane, but I feel that's what makes it unsettling. A friend and I both got in an elevator and I hit the up button. After the doors closed I was sure I felt it go down instead of up, but when the doors opened we had indeed traveled upwards. We both turned to look at each other at the same time and asked if the other had felt the elevator go down instead of up. To this day I believe that we entered a slightly parallel dimension where something minor is different than the world we left behind. I've just yet to find it. Not really a creepy experience, but I recently witnessed a murder directly in front of me. Running from that was the most pure terror I have ever felt and still makes me jumpy. I've posted this many times before but never really got an answer, usually gets passed over. And I'm sorry if it's kinda long, but to this day, I really have no clue how to explain what it was. I hope maybe someone can give me some ideas of what I possibly saw as a child then. This happened when I was 10. My family lived on top of our family-owned pizza shop. Top floor was set up as such. You went up a set of stairs from the outside, back of the restaurant. Entering our home you were in the dining room. From the dining room you could see straight through to our kitchen, into the living room and the doorway of the hallway that lead to the kids' bedrooms. My mom's bedroom was on the side of the dining room. I woke up in my mother's bedroom, had taken a nap or something, but I left the room and was standing in the dining room. I called out to my family but nobody answered. I checked out the door and saw my stepfather working on the family car. As I turned around in the house, I saw a faint light coming from the hallway that I could see through the kitchen and living room. The hallway light was not on. It was overhead light and the hallway had a high ceiling, but the light looked like it was coming from a flashlight or something. I started to walk towards the hallway and the light grew brighter, like something was coming out of the hallway. I was in the doorway of the kitchen into the living when my sister came out of the hallway, glowing lights surrounding her. She was in the nightgown she usually wore to bed. I called to her but she just smiled and turned her head. I stepped closer and saw she did not have feet and was just floating. She began to back into the hallway, motioning for me to follow her, never saying a word. I stood in shock. She faded into the hallway and soon the light disappeared. When the light vanished, I heard a loud bang come from outside. I ran to the door only to see my mother, brother and sister, in completely different clothing, coming out of the restaurant's back door and up the stairs to our place. I was not dreaming. She does not have a twin and there is no way she could have gotten into the house without coming up the back stairs. This is my experience that made me believe in something else out there. Don't know if I'm too late for the show, but my husband and I were coming home from a night out with friends. We were on his motorcycle and it was about 2 a.m. He had to pee, so we stopped at a rest area off of the freeway. We pull in, it's dark and there's some lights around. There's a guy walking around. As we stopped and my husband, Jay, got off the bike, I saw that the stranger had an axe. My husband really had to pee, so he said he'd be right back. The guy was pacing back and forth on the sidewalk. Trying to make him know that we weren't a threat, I tried to make some conversation with him. Me, hey guy, what's going on? Him, grunts, looks around, nothing. Me, what's with the axe? Him, looks at the axe, chopping wood. Me, oh, okay. Jay was taking what seemed like forever to go pee. I was trying to make casual conversation with this guy so we didn't get killed. Once Jay came out of the bathroom, he had to start up his Harley, which was loud. The guy was just watching us, holding his axe. We both got on the bike and had to get back out of the rest stop before we could get on the freeway. Once we started going, I didn't see him on the side of us where he last was. I'm not sure if it was my imagination, but in the pause from first to second gear, I was almost sure I heard somebody running behind us. About a mile down the freeway, Jay pulled the bike over and asked me if that wasn't the creepiest thing ever, and maybe we should call the cops. I was scared shitless and wanted to get moving again, so I said we could do it after we got home. We did call. Whether anybody went there to check it out, I don't know. My grandfather broke his hip in 2009, and consequently ended up living with myself and my mother in a home hospice. I was his primary caregiver for about 3 years, so I dropped out of college to take care of him full time. It was unsettling to watch this man reduced to a sedentary life in an easy chair, stripped of his independence, slowly losing the will to live, having to use a catheter and clean his slop bucket daily. Please don't ask, not the unsettling part though. I was basically at his beck and call, 24 hours a day, summoned by nothing less than a full-throated bellow of my first name. It didn't matter how high I cranked the volume on my headphones playing Dark Souls or CSGO during my escape sessions, I could hear him just the same. It was tough for both of us. Got real bad the last month of his life, when he basically lost his mind and was on a steady morphine drip to keep the pain at bay. He ended up passing away in his sleep in 2012 from complications stemming from lung cancer, and I found him the next morning, putting in the call to the hospital to have his body removed. About 3 months later, I was in the middle of looking for work, emailing out resumes as fast as I could compose them, and I just needed a nap. After I stretched out on the living room couch, I slipped into that weird state of half sleep, where you can't tell if you're conscious or not. All of a sudden, clear as a bell, I could hear my dead grandfather scream my name at the top of his lungs. I shot up immediately, looked around, and got the worst cold sweats ever. I always told myself I don't believe in the supernatural, but that experience will stick with me. This one time at my girlfriend's house a sudden headache came about, so I decided to go lay down on her bed. My girlfriend has 2 cats who usually like to lay on the bed as well. I'm laying down facing the wall and I feel someone get on the bed and lay next to me. I assumed it was my girlfriend, so I say, "Hey, are you going to lay down for a bit as well?" After receiving no response, I turn around to see if she was being funny. There was nobody and nothing there. The cats were in the living room with her. Till this day I have no idea what laid next to me. I have a few. I live in a haunted house, so weird shit happens all the time. I was freaked out when I touched a Ouija board by myself and it started moving. For those of you that haven't tried it, you are always a little certain someone else is moving it and is in charge. The front and back doors have opened themselves a few times on Halloween night. I've had a ghost fling open my bedroom door and hit glass balls together that we're in my room. I've been in the shower and a bunch of stuff on dresser that's in there got knocked off. More recently I've only had something knock/slam on my bedroom door a few times. It's all fun and games, I hope. My favorite was when something was walking up and down the upstairs hallway whistling aimlessly. I'm the only person in the house that can whistle. I understand if you don't believe me, but it's true.